Hi members, hope you're well. Just Sam here. Currently Wednesday morning. It's just gone 7 AM, and as you can see, the sun is now up. You will notice that the mornings are a lot darker and the evenings are getting a lot shorter. Obviously, as we head into the winter months, I think it's important to remember that this weekend we turn into October, which is obviously a very autumnal time of year. Weather-wise, climate-wise, it's not as we would normally expect. Obviously, we had a bit of a mini humid heat wave in September, then it went really wet, and then now we're currently enjoying some warmer temperatures again as we enter into October. And I from my long-term forecast, it looks like there's going to be another mini heat wave in October, which is obviously not as we would normally expect. So a few things to cover this week. Firstly, I'm just up on the first at the minute. I just want to talk to you about dollar spot. So I'm just on the approach here, and you can see that the first approach is probably one of the worst ones for dollar spot. What's impressive is you can almost see where our line to treat the greens are with fungicide. So therefore, we've almost got a perfect line just about here from where this is untreated and just with our normal foliar fertilizers to treated with a fungicide. Now the issue we have with dollar spot is that obviously to treat dollar spot with a fungicide it's quite costly. We budget fungicide for our greens and our greens only. Not many places will have the budgets and will be able to afford to spray teas and approaches with a fungicide, and I'm afraid that's something we currently don't do. I am trialling some micronutrients, macronutrients on the teas and approaches to try and reduce dollar spot, but I know it's an industry-wide problem. Now, with regards to dollar spot, hence the name, it originated in the USA first due to the climate conditions, and as mentioned earlier, our climate is changing, and therefore we're dealing with a lot of issues that we haven't had to deal with in the past. But I went on a research day a few weeks ago looking at grass species that are tolerant to dollar spot and also some fertilizer programs that reduce the amount of dollar spot. So there is a lot of research going into it, but it's almost just hit the UK from nowhere with our climate changing, and this year it seems to be rife for everyone on teas and approaches. But touch wood, what it's showing is that our greens disease management is in a really good place. And on that note, as we enter into October, October is a big disease pressure month, and I'm really pleased with how the sward density on the greens. A lot of our weak areas we've treated with mycotonin seeding and a little bespoke fertilizer program on those to bring those in line with the rest of the greens. So I'm really pleased with where the greens are at as we enter into sort of this autumnal period where normally there's low growth and high disease pressure, but who knows what the next few months will bring. However, the next few months I'm pretty sure will bring leaves falling off the trees, and that means for us our aims and visions change to our winter program, which will commence 1st of October, and lots of things going on this winter, which I'll talk about in a few more videos as we enter into the autumn. Also this week you may have noticed we've had some boom sprayers in our long rough and heather areas. We do this every autumn or every September to reduce the coarse grasses in the long rough areas, and I think hopefully you'll all agree that the coarse grass areas and where it's really thick is reducing each year, and that means that this spraying program and our scarifying program in the winter as well is doing really good things. And you know, even this summer where July and August were quite wet, I think the long rough in the majority of places was still in a really good place, aesthetically looked nice, and also you could find your ball. I appreciate there are still a few areas out on the golf course that are quite thick and lush, but hopefully you will agree that these areas are getting smaller and smaller year on year. Also next week we may have to reduce the amount of teeing area on the driving range. Where we pull water from the stream that comes from Fleet Pond, we're getting a platform put in with some steps just at the back of the dry range to make it nice and safe for us to be able to inspect it and to be able to clear it. This means we'll be able to pull water all the time, and we won't have to clamber down there when it's blocked. It means we'll have an inspection point. So that's happening next week. So therefore, right now I'm not too sure on how much of the range will be closed. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to close the far end of the artificial, so it may reduce the amount of teeing area on the range just for next week while we install that. Also this time of year, you may recall from a previous video we are looking to put brashins down on the 16th carry. You may notice it's all yellowed off, so we sprayed the 16th carry off now, and we had brashins penciled in for next week. However, speaking with the contractor, we have decided to go for the end of October just due to conditions. Like I said, looking at the long-term forecast, there is potential for a bit of a mini October heat wave, which is not ideal to put brashins down. So we're going to postpone that till the end of October, but again, I'll communicate that as and when we go forward. And then from my side, just looking ahead, obviously we've got renovations coming up middle of October, and we are doing lots of tiling on tees, greens, approaches, fairways as well. And also the following week we're going to overseed fairways. Now I'll come on to it in a minute, but you may have seen that there's a course survey that you're able to fill in after your round of golf. I've already noticed a few comments on there regarding bare patches on fairways. Now with that, yes, there is a few bare patches on fairways. Hopefully, for those of you who have been a member here 3 or 4 years, the condition of the fairways have improved year on year. And also, one thing to bear in mind is that the thatch levels in the fairways is not going to be consistent right now. One thing we're doing in the spring is we're going to hollow core fairways, which is something that hasn't been done here at Northants for a good 10 years. What this does is it reduces the amount of thatch, and it makes it helps the sward retain moisture and makes a more consistent and uniform surface. So there are a few bare patches out there. We are doing renovations in October. Following that, we're doing overseeding. You may still see some of the successful overseeding from last year on areas of fairways, which is great. As you can imagine, I'm sure the machinery hire and the seed cost for fairways is quite substantial, but it's great that the club invest in this, and year on year this is going to get better, and like I say, these bare patches are going to get smaller. One thing to consider is obviously we are a heathland golf course. We want our fine grasses, we want our bents, we want our fescues. We've got a few grass species in the fairways that are less desirable, sort of fat-leafed, and yeah, not really what we're after as a heathland. So in those bare patches, what would have happened is probably from June, I would say, where we had that quite strong heat wave, the coarse grasses will have wilted away, will have died off and just left the finer grasses, which is great. But what that does mean is it means bare patches until we can get in an overseed at the right time of year, which for fescue, which we're going with 100% fescue seed, which we're going with in October, which is perfect timing for it. So yeah, that's coming up in October, so hopefully we'll see germination as we enter into November, and certainly as we enter into the spring. But do keep your eye out on those fairways and on those runoff areas where we overseeded last year. You can still see the lines of seed coming through, and that's going to get thicker and thicker year on year. So I'm really confident with where we're at with the fairways, and going forward, like I've mentioned with a lot of things out on the golf course, I don't have a magic wand to do it overnight, and it is quite a commitment over a long period of time. And that brings me on really to the survey. You may have noticed out on the golf course, in the clubhouse, there's a QR code to scan so that you can give your feedback regarding the course. Please do this. The reason I'm saying this in my video is I'm almost relating this to maybe Amazon reviews. I only seem to ever write an Amazon review when I'm not happy with something, which is my own fault, and I'm conscious that I don't want that to happen for this feedback survey. So please, if you have a round of golf, please give us your feedback, all good, all bad, but hopefully if you watch these videos as well, you'll know that things like fairways and the bare patches, they're on the agenda. We are going to tackle those, and there's a reason why we time things when we do. One thing I will say is obviously bunkers may not score very high, but hopefully you'll all be in agreement that we wouldn't be investing, or we wouldn't be looking to invest a lot of money in our bunkers if they're in a good place. So obviously the fundamentals of our bunkers aren't great, which sort of restrict us from the offset anyway. But hopefully if you fill that survey in, if and when we're able to do the bunkers, the answers will be a lot different. So you may notice the QR code in the clubhouse. Please feel free to fill in positives, negatives, and yeah, hopefully everyone's enjoying their golf, and we'll see you on the course.